what I'm going to coach you guys on today is to be curious with people. I'm not asking you to sell them on you, sell them on the market, sell them on your brokerage. I'm not asking you to be a pushy salesman. I don't really want you talking about real estate really at all in the beginning, unless one of these leads is like, hey, I want to talk about real estate. Then you're going to talk about real estate. But typically, when somebody registers on our website or we have a conversation with somebody in the grocery store, typically they're not ready right then and there. There's not really a big sense of urgency. This is just something, this is a goal, this is something I'm working towards. Um, so the most important thing is relationship building. So we are in a relationship business. But I can tell you, like a member of my real estate team approached me on one of these coaching calls and said, Jason, I don't know how many more times I can call these people and ask them where they're at in the process. You ready to buy? You ready to sell? It's just getting old. And I said, well, yeah, it should be, because you're not doing it right. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. I'll start saying, hey, do you know their favorite color? Do you know their name of their kids? Do you know where they went to school? Do you know where they grew up? And they're going, nope, nope, nope. I had another one of our agents who, just had a great closing with somebody who they had turned into a raving fan. And I said, what do they do for, I want you to take this person to lunch. There needs to be a follow-up appointment after the sale. Most agents don't have a post-close game plan at all. And I said, why don't you take this guy, this guy to lunch and, really start, because the relationship typically should really begin at closing. That's where most agents end the relationship, but that's where it should begin, because all the stress, all the business stuff is kind of out of the way. And now we can focus on relationship building. Like we got all the hard work out of the way, and we've got clear heads, and we can really focus on the lifetime value of the relationship. Now, when you're making these calls, the problem is that until we get into a place where we can offer value, and the value that we offer, a lot of agents overcomplicate this, but the value we offer people is taking an interest in them. All right. So let's just think about, yourselves as people, as women, as realtors. We got a male on this call, but just think about how good it makes you feel when you have a conversation with somebody and they ask you, how you been? How's your mama and them? I also want to stress the importance of using seasonal, like annual events, seasonal things. Like, we're enjoying, I don't know, maybe a little bit cold where you guys are still, but here in Birmingham, Alabama, we're enjoying some amazing weather. Okay. It's super cool. It's like, upper 50s in the morning and at night. And during the day, it's like in the 80s, like summertime. So you could, go lay out by the pool during the day and then have a campfire at night. It's awesome. But typically what happens around spring, if you're a parent, is you've got spring break, summer vacations, football season, maybe during the fall, or Halloween. We got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas. And so we're just calling people going, hey, what's your plans? What's going on? Oh, hey, I was thinking about you on my way to work today. Just want to check in. How are you and the kids doing? Everything okay? So I'll give you an example. And the coaching call, Stacy's actually on this call, and we were running over, and thank God you messaged me, Melanie, because I probably would have just skipped this whole thing altogether, because we were kind of in the coaching zone. But this will give me an opportunity to tell her what, to finish the story we were having. So during the COVID lockdown, we had a camper in storage, and school was out, and we were getting cabin fever at home. And so I talked to my wife. I said, let's find a campground that has a lot of amenities and outdoor, stuff to do, hiking, biking. And we found one on a lake, and we found a lakefront spot. And for a long time, we just camped at that spot. and just had some really nice family time. And these kids, there was other kids in the park too that were off school. So our kids made great relationship with kids, and they actually started to play like we used to, like sun up to sundown outside. Now kids, they just want to stay inside on their devices and stuff. It's really, really sad. But it was an amazing thing. I was like, wow, these kids are being kids. But I spent a lot of that time on coaching calls. Had good Wi-Fi, good cell service. And so I was just investing in my agents and talking to them. And on one of these coaching calls, I had a retired teacher that had just joined our brokerage. And it had been several weeks since she had activated her license with our brokerage, and she just was spinning her wheels. And we had this discussion about the importance of conversations. And she was like, Jason, I don't feel comfortable calling my friends and family and asking for business. And my response was, tell me, at what time did I ever tell you that was the approach? And what better time than right now to call your people and go, hey, how's everybody? Y'all healthy? Or if they have COVID, hey, you need me to make you a casserole and drop it off? Or excuse me, erase that from your memory. Say, you're going to use that as an opportunity to provide value in their life. But the first value you're offering is taking an interest in them. The second thing you're doing is using that conversation as a investigative process of where you can insert value. Okay, so you think about where I screwed up just a second ago was asking people, hey, is there something I can do for you? That's the wrong approach. The approach is being curious enough to figure that out, to self-discover that on your own, and then just doing it. Right. So I host an annual real estate conference every year here in Alabama. And one of the speakers we had one year was actually a real estate agent in Canada. And she uses Facebook at a really high level. She's got she lives in this big neighborhood. And so she set up a neighborhood Facebook page for all the moms. It's just for moms. None of these husbands can get in. It's all for the moms. And it's all about mom support. She gets a ton of business from that. But she also kind of stalks people on Facebook looking for opportunities to insert value. So if somebody is sick or God forbid they pass away, she doesn't call and go, hey, I'm so sorry for your loss. Is there anything I can do for you? She just sends them flowers. And it's not a random bouquet. It's their favorite flower. You see that? So when we call leads and we say, hey, is there anything I can do for you right now? They're just going to be like, no, I'm just looking. But what if you changed your approach? And if your website's like ours, we can see the activity of people. We can see what they're looking at. We can see if they're favoriting a property, if they've calculated a loan. So maybe I see that they've looked at this one specific subdivision like 4 times, or this one house, 3 or 4 times. I might call up the listing agent and go, hey, I think we might have a good opportunity to put a deal together here. What can you tell me about your listing that's not in the MLS? And they may say, we're getting into, it's kind of fluctuating, but we're starting to see some price reductions in some pockets. And if this listing's in a pocket where it's shifting more towards a buyer's market than the seller's market, we may hear things like, yeah, the seller's gotten a lot of negative feedback on the floors. So we're going to replace this carpet with hardwood floors next week. And if that doesn't do it, we're probably going to be looking at a $10,000 price reduction. That's some pretty valuable information to share with a potential client. So I might just do it in a very passive way at first, because I want to really stress this is that, the confidence to get over the call reluctance, that's a process, and it's not an overnight one. Okay. So you got to give yourself some grace, but we learn in this business by doing. Okay. We don't need to master things before we take action. So we need to do things. We need to be in motion, because that's how progress happens. We will not make a lick of progress by standing still. So although your telephone is your best, in the absence of a face-to-face, that is your highest conversion activity. That is your highest relationship building activity. But Like I'll talk to agents that I'll see like have 20 leads, 20 new leads in the CRM, no call, no email, no text. And it baffles me. Okay, I get it. You're scared to make the phone call, but are you scared to make to send a text or send an email? When we approach this from a value-based perspective, it gives us purpose by which we can build intentionality upon. Okay, so if I'm calling somebody like the agent I referenced a minute ago and just saying, hey, you ready to buy, you ready to sell, there's only so many times I can say that without it starting to feel icky and salesy and pushy and awkward. Okay. But back to the agent I was coaching in the camper, what better time than a worldwide pandemic than to actually reach out and show that you care about these people that are in your sphere of influence and that you're checking on them. And if they happen to say, yeah, the whole family's got COVID, you're going, well, I'm going to do something to help you. So, stand by because I'm about to, serve up some food, have some groceries delivered, make a Costco run, whatever the case may be. And we don't even have to tell them that. We go, oh my gosh, so sorry to hear that. And then we might just make a little note. We say, hey, I heard you on our conversation today. I felt like the best way I could help you. I was desperately racking my brain in a way that I could help you. And I just thought, well, gosh, it's probably pretty hard for y'all to get out and go to the grocery store or to, maybe home cooked meals are a problem because y'all all feel like crap. So I know you love this casserole. So here it is. But a big part of your sphere of influence management, it really even your non-Mets, because your database should be comprised of people you know and people you don't know. And the goal is to converge all those people into one big hub, relationship hub. And when we're doing it effectively, we know what somebody's favorite box of movie candy is. We know what their favorite flour is. We know what their favorite pizza place is, their favorite pizza topping, what kind of music they're interested in. So when we are doing things, acts of service for these people, it's very intentional because it's their favorite color. It's their favorite flour. It's their favorite pizza place. It's a gift card to their favorite restaurant. It's a pair of concert tickets to one of their favorite bands. And they're going, wow, that person really knows me. They really listen to me. I am seen by this person. I am heard by this person. And once you build up enough of this credibility with people, it's the Gary V give, ask. It's his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, which stands for give, ask. Okay. And a lot of times what's going to happen on these conversations, which is what Stacey and I were just talking about before we jump in this call, is that when you take an interest in people, they're going to eventually reciprocate with you. So one of the big things Stacey's going through right now is she's not a person that just naturally has the gift of gab. She's not a natural conversationalist. My wife's in mortgage, and anytime we go out in public, she's striking up a conversation with people, and it drives me absolutely nuts. And we'll get in the car and I'll be like, oh my God, what took so long? And she's like, hey, dummy, I just picked up 2 loans, which are, paying our bills. So, cool your jets. And I go, oh, damn, that's painful. She's right. Can't stand it when she's right. Right. So think about the agents that you really look up to in your marketplace. I'll tell you, there's probably 2 irrefutable facts about how they run their business. They're very curious. They take a deep interest in people. They're very intentional about being conversational and having valuable daily conversations, which just means taking an interest in them, and they know their marketplace. So one of the greatest ways to overcome call reluctance is to build confidence and expertise in a few key areas. Okay. So is anybody in Melanie's room there a brand new agent or new to the business? Nope, all kind of veterans. All right, so think about this. Let's just think about let's go back to the mindset you had. If you can just maybe briefly reconnect with that and think about where your lack of confidence came from as a new agent. I'd be willing to bet that you were scared to death of getting asked a question you didn't know the answer to. You didn't know the contract. So it's like, why would I talk to people? They may say they want to buy something, and then I've got this, then I don't know what to do. Got this paperwork I don't know what to do with. I don't know what it means. I don't know how to explain it. And you don't know the market. What if they ask me about average days on market or average sales price per square foot? So becoming very intentional about knowing your market. Okay. So if you want some coaching homework that's really going to serve you at a high level, you master the paperwork, get with a title agent if you have to go through it line by line. We have closing attorneys here in Birmingham. Get with a closing attorney, get with a title agent who's got a law background. If not, really, really understand the contracts and really how to use these contracts to protect your clients, to advocate for them, to if you guys are still in a multiple offer market, we've got pockets where it's still peak seller conditions, and we've got markets that are trending, pockets of the market that are trending more towards buyers. But if we're still in a multiple offer, if we're in a multiple offer pocket, we need to be able to educate our buyers about how to win a multiple offer situation, how to use the contract to lock out our competition. Use that inspection contingency to protect, your ability to buy this house, even though you may not be sold on it's the one. Well, let's give ourselves 7 to 10 days to figure that out and lock everybody out in the process. All right. So that's going to be a big source of confidence. If anybody on this call has ever been at Keller Williams, this is a Gary Keller and Dave Jenks, like foundational principle to gain confidence on the phone is in 2 key areas: the paperwork, your legally binding documents, and the market. So coaching homework, obviously for the vets in the room, the contract, but I would be willing to bet that there are new listings in your marketplace that you have not seen. And this is a problem with agents that aren't achieving the success that they ultimately desire, is they want to make these withdrawals from the marketplace without making any investments. I mean, we had a new agent just left our brokerage yesterday, and I'm kind of grateful that she has gone, because this will give her an opportunity to hopefully hear the same things I tried to teach her from somebody else. And sometimes that sinks in. But she's a young woman. She's still in college. And her attitude when she comes in the office every day is like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like, why is it so hard to get, to do this, to like get something under contract? Like I need to make money. And I'll just stop her cold in her tracks and I'll go, what's the average days on market in, she lives in Fultondale, Alabama. What's the average days on market? She don't know. Average sales price? She don't know. Has she seen all the listings, all the active listings in Fultondale? Nope. Have you studied the contracts? Nope. Do you know where to find the contracts? In Dotloop? Nope. I'm like, well, why in the hell would I do business with you? This is the largest transaction, one of the largest transactions of their lifetime. You don't go to a heart surgeon who goes, yeah, it's been a while since I cracked open a chest, but I think I could still do it. I'll fumble my way around it. We'll figure it out. You're going to hightail it out of there. So I don't understand. Like, I grapple with this constantly as the real estate agent mindset. What makes you think people are going to see you as a financial advisor when you don't know you don't have zero market knowledge, zero product knowledge, and you don't have a command of these legally binding documents? So one thing everybody could do on this call, and I suggest you start in your backyard. Okay. You start in your subdivision. If you live in a big subdivision, start there. All right. If you live on some acreage, you're not in a subdivision, then, maybe outline a radius or just make it a point to go preview every home that comes on the market in that zip code and become the king or queen of a specific area. The smaller we start, the better. Okay. So in order to get big in this real estate business, we got to first start small. All right. So like I live in a subdivision that has 2,300 homes. If I just got my real estate license and wanted to start generating some business from these 2,300 homes, I would start touring every home that came on the market. Some of these homes are going to sell quickly. Damn, didn't have a chance to preview that one. But a lot of times they're not. We're going to have an opportunity to see them, but we're just going to be very intentional about this effort to go see homes. Okay. So some of you may have had this experience where you've been out on a showing, and we get about 50% of the people that we serve here in the state of Alabama, which I think North Carolina should be kind of high on this list too, where places people are moving to. Would y'all agree with that? Do y'all get a lot of people from out of state, out of the area moving? Yeah, so we do too. And they're basing their opinion on where they want to live and where they want to be, predominantly around schools and around their job. And what they're trying to do is like, all right, I want to find an A-rated school or a top-rated school that's close to my work, and that's going to be a good thing for the convenience of the family, right? But when you're working with them and you're listening to them, you're like, they don't know. They're describing a home that has nothing in common with the list they've given me to show them this day or this weekend. But I'm listening to them, and because I'm such a student of the market and I've previewed these homes, in some cases, there's going to be just an instant connection where like they're describing the home I previewed last week, which is still in the market. So I'm going to stop the showings, dead in their tracks, and we're going to pivot. I'm going to go to them and go, hey, listen, we've shown like 4 out of the 6 homes you guys have selected, and the comments, the feedback I'm getting from y'all is not matching any of the homes we've seen or any of the homes that are on our schedule for the rest of the day. What you have been describing is a home that I previewed last week. And I think we should hit the pause button, pump the brakes a little bit. Give me a minute to try to connect with this agent, see if we can get an appointment on the fly and go see it. Boy, that's a very valuable service to anybody. Listening to them, valuable. Knowing your market and being able to connect them with a property that would have never been on their radar before, extremely valuable. And what extreme value does is create conversations about you when you're not in the room that are going to lead to future opportunities, either direct or indirect opportunities, referrals, what have you. And it all starts to come kind of full circle. But gaining confidence on the phone, I think, is a multifaceted process. The first thing I want you to get out of your mind is that I'm not asking you to be salesy. I'm not asking you to be to even mention real estate at all. Okay. Now there is a caveat because we are lumped into the telemarketer camp. Okay. And I understand that, that creates stress and anxiety, kind of being labeled as unfairly as a telemarketer. But in some cases, we might even admit that we've been approaching this business as a telemarketer. Okay. So it should give you it should take a big weight off your shoulders to go, okay, with these leads that we have, you're saying I don't have to call them and mention real estate at all? So here comes so yes, plus a caveat, okay? Because what we have done, what we have probably contributed to and been responsible for at one time or another is contributing to this telemarketer reputation that we have, okay? Which is, exacerbated by the fact that most real estate agents are part-time and most real estate agents are hobbyists, and they don't know the market. They don't study the contract. Real estate's not like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it, you're good. You constantly have to be in the trenches. I mean, think about this. I've been in the business almost 20 years now, and I'm still encountering new problems, new issues that need to be solved in a creative way. Okay, so we're never going to be masters of the industry. We're always going to be constantly learning, and the more we learn, the more we earn. So here's the caveat, is that we do need to establish this as a business call, okay? So I have, well, really two methods. We can, and the second method is really, really hard. So the first one is establishing it as a business call. The second method is, really kind of, I don't want to say pretending, but when you call somebody, you're like, hey, Melanie, how's it going? Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I talked to you. I'm so glad you answered the phone. How's it going? And Melanie's going to be going, who in the hell is this? How do I know this person? The voice doesn't sound familiar. What Jasons do I know? But I'm damn sure not going to hang up because, Melanie's not going to hang up on me because she's like, well, this person clearly knows me. I don't want to be rude. We don't want to be rude to people that we may or may not have a relationship. If there's a slight chance that maybe we know this person through a friend, we don't want to be rude. So we're going to totally catch them off guard. All right. That's really hard to do. But it's extremely powerful when we combine the two. Okay. When we combine the two. But if you want to start out with something really, really easy, I'm going to give you a script, an opening line script to use with your leads that is going to establish it as a business call. And as soon as you do that, I want you to go into curiosity, relationship building mode. Okay. Any questions so far on that? Anybody got anything? I've got something in the chat here. I'm going to check it real quick. All right. Got a little feedback. All right. I'll answer that in a second. All right. So no questions so far. All right. Let me give you the script. And this is something that is going to require you to do some practice, some memorization. Okay. And then once we do this, then I'm going to talk about some objection handling tactics that are really, really going to help you. Okay. Now you can modify this script any way you want. And I understand there's a lot of negativity around scripts. Like agents were like, I don't want to sound like a robot. Okay, I get it. All right. But I got this script from the #1 buyer's agent in the country at the time, which has probably been about 15 years. But it is tried and true, and it works like a charm. All right. Now, a really big challenge with this script is you have to say it in its entirety. And then I want you to shut up and not say a word. I don't care how long the uncomfortable silence is, you let that play out. All right. And we're going to get to a place where we can 9 times out of 10, more times than not, predict what the person is going to say, what their initial response to the script is going to be. Okay. I'm giving you permission to modify it, make it sound like you can develop your own version of it, but you have to memorize it. It's got to be like instinct. It's got to be like second nature. Okay. So it goes a little something like this. Hey, Melanie, this is Jason Will with Jason Real Estate Team. Thank you so much for taking my call. Hey, I'm not going to keep you long. The purpose of my call today was just to see if you're still in the market to buy a home or if you've already purchased a property. Shut up. And you're going to hear that little Jeopardy music in your head. Let it play out. The purpose of my call was simply to see if you were, well, I'm sorry. I missed a part. Okay. So, hey, Melanie, this is Jason Will, Jason Real Estate Team. Thank you so much for taking my call. Hey, I'm not going to keep you long. The purpose of my call today was simply to update my files to see if you're still in the market to buy a home or if you've already purchased a property. So updating my files is the key phrase that I left out that establishes it as a business call. Updating my files. All right. So let's pause here. And I'll just clearly identify the elephant in the room, which typically happens with most people that I'm coaching through this. They'll go, Jason, what file? What the hell are you talking about? What file? I don't have any files. And I'm like, okay, all right. Do we want to, debate this, whether you have a file or not, or do we want to close some freaking real estate deals? All right. So it's just verbiage that establishes as a business call. Now, I would argue that your CRM, their page in your lead dashboard, whatever the heck you want to call it. That's a file and you're updating it. Okay. But I can't tell you, like, that makes me just like my blood boil when somebody just will go, oh, we don't have files. When's the last time we've had files in real estate? Everything's digital nowadays. Okay. All right. So we've addressed that. Let's move on. What do you think is probably going to be the most predictable outcome from this opening line script? I can tell you unequivocally with like extreme confidence that it's probably going to be, hey, Jason, I appreciate it, bud, but I'm just looking. Hey, we were just curious, saw something popped up, one of your posts on Facebook, clicked on it, looked around, and this registration thing popped up. We filled it out, but we're not serious buyers. Don't waste your time on us. All right. Now, the worst thing you can possibly do next is, apologize for bothering them, or just, thank them, for taking your call again, and just tell them to have a nice day. This is typically how it goes. Oh, well, gosh, I get it. And I'm sorry to bother you. And I appreciate you letting me know that. And listen, if anywhere down the road, you do get serious, just save my information and reach out. That's what you're typically going to be. It's going to be some version of that. So we're just assuming that after we disconnect this call, that these people are going to just plug our numbers into their phone, or maybe put, like a sticky note in their cubicle. Oh yeah, call Jason. As soon as I get serious about real estate, call Jason. Got it. No, that's not what happens. You might as well take your average commission in your marketplace. Let's just call it 5,000. Probably not 5,000. Let's just call it 5,000. I want you to go to your bank, and I want you to get $5,000 in large bills. And how's this for accountability? I'm just joking, by the way. But if this was true, this would be extreme accountability. I want you to go into the bathroom. I want you to drop the $5,000 in the toilet, and I want you to hit the flush button, because that's what you just did. All right. This is a game. This can be helpful to agents start thinking about this as a game that you are playing. It's a game that we're playing with people. And right now, the game we're playing is we want to extend the conversation a little bit longer than 5 to 10 seconds. We get into 15, 20, even into 30 seconds, well, that wall starts to come down and they start to open up. Okay. So what is the best approach to an objection? Okay. Here's some strategies on objection handling and extending the phone call. Okay. The first thing I just want to really, I hope you burn this into your brains, everybody on the call, is that he or she that asks the questions controls the conversation. And when you ask questions, you're very intent. You start to become very intentional about, asking questions, but being curious. Just be curious. What's one thing that we are very judgmental? Most real estate agents are judgmental well before they're ever curious. The judgment of the lead actually starts before you even pick up the phone. You're like, oh, they don't want to talk to me. Oh, I'm going to bother them. Oh, they're probably definitely, helping their kids with homework right now, or they're at work and they're busy and it's going to be an interruption. Well, it is. You're right. It is an interruption. Okay. But we can counter the interruption by being valuable. And we understand that people, it's human nature. We deeply desire to be seen and heard by others. We want people to take an interest in us. Okay. But I understand we're already nervous. We're already anxious. We're already negative. We're like, oh, these people, they just I don't want to be a bother to people. I don't want to burden people. And that's what I am. So I'm just going to stay in reactive mode versus proactive mode. I get it. Been there and done that. I stumbled through this the first 4 years of my real estate career. 4 years. And I can't tell you how blown away I was when I went to my first big real estate conference and met somebody who had been in the business, 2 to 3 years, that was already a millionaire. I'm like, what? I've been doing this 4 years and barely paying my freaking bills. There must be something I don't know that I need to figure out. I need to be curious. I'm going to ask this guy if I can buy him dinner and pick his brain, or ask him if I can take him out for a beer after the conference. Or I'm going to corner him at the meet and greet and go, oh my gosh, like you blew my mind when you told me about your production. I've been in the business a year longer than you, and the most I've ever made is 50 grand. Teach me your ways. All right. When the objection comes, one of the best practices that you can get instinctive about is validating that objection. Just let people know you hear them. Okay. And I want you to practice these. And I want you to be practicing this while you're driving down the road. I want you guys to practice this with each other. I want you to practice this with your significant others, your kids, your bestie. I don't care, but you got to practice. Okay. You don't win. Nobody wins a golf tournament by not preparing for it. And one of the biggest problems in this industry is when opportunities arise, we are totally unprepared and we miss it. It's like that agent coming in, like, why don't people want to hire me? Yeah, exactly. Why would they? You don't know anything about anything. Give people a reason to want to work with you. Success is something that we attract. Okay? We attract through expertise. All right? So what are some ways that we can tell people that we're hearing them? All right, to validate that objection. The validation process is also going to give us time to collect ourselves so that we know where to go next with the conversation, and try to protect ourselves from going into that default mode of, oh, well, that's okay, and I'm sorry to bother you. Hey, you just keep using my website as long as you need. If you ever get serious about buying or selling, you've got my information, and you just give me a call. Now, the difference here is the next time you do that, I want you to isolate that moment and go, I just screwed up. That's not the way to do it. That's the old way. It is not the dollar productive way. And I'm going to do better on this next call. Okay. So Melanie says, hey, Jason, I'm just looking. Yeah, my husband may get this job that he's been trying to get for a long time. And if he does, then we're going to be serious. But, there's no timeline. I'm just going to say, oh my gosh, that's really exciting, Melanie. That's something, that might bring about a lot of changes in your life and stuff, like moving to a different state. And, where is that? Like, where would y'all be moving to? Or I could say this, because I'm on our website all the time looking at stuff. I like to look at waterfront properties. I like to look at acreage properties. I'm getting to a point where in my life where I want to get out of the subdivision and I want to get some land. I want to get, 5 acres, 10 acres, get some chickens. So I'll say, oh my gosh, I totally get it. And this is how, if you're talking to another female, like, girl, I get it. I'm on our website all the time looking. I'm really looking for investment properties. My husband and I are talking about getting our first Airbnb. So what are you typically looking at when you're on our site, or what attracts you most about the real estate listings you're seeing on our site? I'm just asking questions. I'm being curious, and I'm hoping to extend the conversation a little bit longer. That doesn't mean that they're not going to hang up. I was talking to an expired a couple weeks ago, and I hope this dude has gone and got some therapy. But I started with the opening script and, just update my files, see if are you still interested in selling, or if y'all decided to take it off the market or rent it or whatever. And he's like, no, we've taken it off the market and we're not interested in selling, period. And my next question was, oh, that's interesting. I get it. That's pretty typical, but hey, do you mind me asking if you guys got any offers? I told you I didn't want us. I mean, just started going off. And I was like, oh my God. I actually started laughing because this guy was such a psychopath. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope your day gets better. Goodbye. So sometimes I say that to say this, like sometimes there's just nothing we can do because, when we're in the people business, one of the first things we realize real quick is that people are crazy. They're nuts. All right. So this is just a game. It's a game we're playing. It's a game that we are favored to win. We just have to come up with a game plan and execute on that plan. Okay. And the basis of that is to be curious. Oh, I understand. I hear you. You're just looking. This is not a, I'm not a, you can say this. I'm very big proponent of just being real and raw with people. You just let them know, hey, I get it. I get it. I'm not a pushy salesperson. You know, if I'm dealing with a FISBO, I always tell them, one of the first things I tell them is like, listen, I want to put your mind at ease. Let's get your guard to come down because I want you to hear me when I say this. I'm never going to ask you if I can list your property. Never, ever, ever. You have my word on that, ever. Now, if you ask me, yeah, I want the job, but I'm never going to put pressure on you. And that just neutralizes everything. I have a FISBO partnership program. I feel like it's a win-win partnership. And if you've got an extra 10 minutes, I'll outline it for you and you can take it or leave it. If you don't see value in it, no harm, no foul, won't bother you. You can get back to your day and just forget I even called. Just ask people. I asked Melanie, like, oh gosh, I'm always on our website all the time. What piques your interest in the real estate market right now? I'm just curious. Maybe she'll answer it, maybe she won't. But I can tell you that simple activity has a very good, there's a high probability that it's going to extend the conversation an extra 10, 20, 30 seconds. And then the stuff's really going to come out. And she might say, well, Jason, if you find something that really has an income producing potential, we may buy it because whether my husband gets his job or not, we believe that real estate is a big moneymaker. Anybody made money selling real estate on the call? I got 3 properties for sale right now, personal properties. If they all sell, I'm looking at somewhere between $300,000 to $400,000, depending on negotiations and repairs in income. And each of these properties I've had just over 2 years. So this is a really big opportunity for us to think about how many people we know that are in a positive equity position on a personal property. Whether they've got a lot of equity that they can use. Most people don't know how to make their money work for them. Real estate agents are just like, hey, I'm trying to identify who's ready to buy, who's hot and ready, like the freaking Krispy Kreme donuts, who's hot and ready to buy or sell. I took a business owner to coffee one day, and he was very reluctant to go on this appointment with me, even though I was paying. And I was just like, hey, I'm not going to sell you on anything. But he has been sold so many times, sold by realtors so many times in the past. These agents just calling him up going, hey, you're a successful businessman. I know you got money in the bank. If you're ever looking to buy or sell, please give me a call. I want to at least have an opportunity to interview. And this business owner told me, Jason, there's no value in that phone call. He's like, but these agents don't know, or they're correct on something. I do have money, and I do have money I'm willing to invest. And they would get way further with me if they came to me and said, hey, got this deal. Going to be a big income producer, good fix and flip opportunity, good STR opportunity, big equity builder. Over the last, 5 to 10 years, we've seen a pretty consistent percentage of growth in home values. That's a big, valuable win. I went to Agent 2021 with Gary V. That first year he put that on, he only did 2, I think, and then he stopped. But they had a really successful businesswoman who is a real estate developer, real estate investor, and she said the only real estate agents I deal with are the ones that help me make money, save money, and solve a problem. So if you're on this call right now and you're guilty, as I have been, of only asking the questions of, either one or the other, either or, ready to buy, ready to list, and I'm unsatisfied with my results, the bad news is you're doing it wrong. The good news is we can fix it right here, right now, today. You are at any given point in real estate, 30, 60, 90 days away from extraordinary results. You just got to start doing it right. So we've identified the problem and we've also identified the solution. Ask questions. Go 3 deep with your questions. Now, I'm assuming everybody has heard of this acronym, the FORD acronym: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Put that in your home office, in your cubicle, as a guide of where to go with these questions. Ask them about their family. Ask them about what they do for a living. Hey, when you're off the clock, what do you love to do? Hey, what are your goals, your financial goals? What are your dreams, your real estate dreams? Like, is there a dream house? Is there a dream investment? I want to hear all about that stuff. And deeper down the road, further down the road, I'm going to start developing a deeper expertise on these people and start to figure out what their favorite color is, what their favorite box of movie candy is, what their favorite pizza place, pizza topping, live music, restaurant, leisure activity, whatever it is. And I'm going to be bringing that up in emails, texts, conversations, and I might be just sending random gifts. Think about this. How much more impactful would a pot buy be if I started getting very intentional about small business pot buys? And when I did these pot buys, I knew that everybody in the office loves those little Chick-fil-A mini biscuits, and I bring a platter once a quarter to this business, as opposed to just showing up with pizza. Pizza. But maybe it's their favorite pizza place. Instead of just getting just a random pepperoni pizza, maybe I show up with, 4 pizzas, and those 4 pizzas are somebody's favorite slice in the office. If somebody has a tragedy in their family, I want to send flowers. I send their favorite flower versus just a random bouquet. Like, God, that person really knows me. They really listen to me. They really care about me. Does that help anybody with call reluctance? I use a very crude example to kind of really, it creates a little shock value, but that kind of tends to stick in everybody's mind. Melanie's office crew, how many of y'all are in a relationship with somebody? 2 out of 2, everybody? Everybody is. Okay. All right. So, there's probably a high probability that when Melanie went on the first date with her now husband, if he would have said, hey, let's skip the small talk, and I got this hotel around the corner, let's go see if we're like compatible. You digging it? You picking up what I'm throwing down? That's when Melanie goes into check please mode, or, oh my God, the babysitter's calling. I gotta go. Oh my God, my sister, somebody's just trying to break in her house. I'll see you later. Now, it probably didn't go that way because they're now married. He probably started asking her a bunch of questions. Hey, where'd you grow up? Tell me about your childhood. Where'd you go to school? What are your parents like? What do they do for a living? You got any siblings? You see what I'm saying? This is what we are taking I call it the wham, bam, thank you, ma'am approach. That's what we're doing when we call people and we go, ready to buy, ready to sell. It's the wham, bam. And we may get lucky every now and then with a wham, bam. We may call somebody. I've had this happen many times. Called somebody and they immediately take over the conversation. They're like, what's wrong with you realtors? I know the house I want to buy. I can't get my stinking realtor on the phone. Will you write it up for me? Oh, hell yeah. But that's rare, right? The way we really get to a place where we've got a consistent pipeline that is funding our vision of the perfect life. I mean, think about this, okay? The function of a business it's like the most valuable function it can serve for us is being a vehicle for our success, but also allowing us to live life on our own terms. To say, oh, we can't afford it right now, a little bit less and less and less as time goes on. Big goals, big life. Stop playing small. Start practicing and preparing. It's like you see, I don't know if there's any football fans on here, but like, players like Peyton Manning, I mean, before the game, he's throwing passes. He's got his wide receivers running routes. And after the game, like, dude, you already won the game. The hell are you still practicing for? I mean, it's iron sharpens iron. The more we practice, the more we prepare, the more we're going to crush opportunities that come our way. And the more opportunities are just going to come our way because people are going to start to see this is where the social media comes in, providing social proof of our expertise, our success stories, our productivity. You got to think about this. Most people have a friend who got their real estate license and exited the business in a short time after that. Okay, so 87+% of us fail. And if you're not getting a lot of business from your sphere of influence yet, you're not experiencing a lot of referrals, there's probably a couple reasons why. Number one, you're not staying in touch. You're not nurturing that relationship. And number two, they just might be taking a wait and see approach to see if you're actually going to make it. Because think about this. I mean, you guys, you don't want to refer anybody. Like I referred a contractor who started off, how many people know contractors that start off really strong? Like, oh my God, I finally found a contractor who actually understands they're in sales. They don't see that. They're like, hammer nails. That's not sales. Yeah, it is. You're in a referral-based business. All right. You're selling, you've got a service that you're selling. And then they fizzle out, just like the rest of them. Well, that happened to me, and it was really embarrassing. We had a dinner party, and two of the couples that had a bad experience with a contractor, we referred them. So that's what's going on. You show people that you have the knowledge, the expertise to get it done, to handle their largest, most valuable investment they'll probably ever make in their life. And just understand the importance of that. Like, that's heavy. And people don't want to put their trust in the hands of somebody who's unqualified and unprepared. And some people are qualified and prepared. They're just in it for the money. And they got that commission breath. So it's either that the breath either smells like desperation or it smells like greed.